Whether you play in survival, build in creative, or are just tired of rain ruining your vibes, these 10 commands can change how you play Minecraft forever. Once you learn what you can do with commands, you'll never look at chickens the same again. Alright, the first command of the day that every Minecraft player should know is the summon command. So, for most of these, I have a command block set up with a command already in it. This one, for example, is /summon iron golem, and you're going to use an underscore instead of a space there. And then I have a set of coordinates, 2, 0, 10. So using this format, you can summon an entity at any position in the world that you're looking to, as long as it's currently being simulated. So if I push this button, it summons in an iron golem. You could also instead do this in your chat. So if I were to do /summon and I type in cow, I could also then add a name to that entity just by typing it immediately after what the entity is. It acts as a name tag. So now I summon in a cow, and the cow's name is Stinky. That's right, he does stink. The next command today is the give command. Some of you probably already checked this one out. It lets you get items such as diamond swords. If I were to look in here, /give @p diamond sword. So this is going to give the closest player a diamond sword, and that's usually going to be the one pushing the button. Da, 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 da. You could also do give @s, which would be specifically targeting you if you were using the chat, for example. /give @s, that means whoever is running the command. Enchanted golden apple. But now it's in my inventory because my stuff's full. There, my stuff's not full. Enchanted golden apple. So the give command can be used for basically any item. So if you're running, like making an adventure or something like that, and you want to give somebody an item at a certain point in the story, the give command would be very useful because you could also target the specific player just by typing in their profile name, their username, gamer tag. So the next command today that we're going to look at is the TP command. So in the command block here, I have /TP @p, and I'm using a tilde, then I have 200, and then tilde. So what this is going to do is it's going to teleport the closest player, because @p means the closest player, and then the tildes mean the same position as whoever is running the command. So that would be the X and Y that the command block has here. That middle coordinate, X and Z, is the Y. So instead of putting you in the same place as the command block, it's going to put you at Y200. Teleport commands are really useful if you're playing with a partner who's still kind of new, ends up getting into sticky situations that you got to get them out of, or if you're building like an adventure map or an elevator or anything like that. You can also, like I've mentioned before, type in specific usernames. And so you can use that to teleport someone to a specific set of coordinates or to your coordinates. So I could type in this here, which would teleport me right up top. If I were to teleport, if there was another player, I could do TP player 1, player 2. And what that would do is it would teleport player 1 to player 2. All right, so the next command we're going to look at today, and this one is really useful if you don't like a bunch of people joining into your game. If you're doing something with just somebody specifically and you don't want more friends hopping in or anything like that, you can change how many max players are allowed. So with this one, it doesn't really work well with a command block. This is something you have to do in the chat. So just set max players. And for example, I could set 2. So now nobody over 2 players is allowed in the game at any given time. And I can change that at any moment. I could put that back to 8. Next command today is the weather command. So this one's really useful if you want to change the vibe, or if you're playing in survival mode and it just keeps raining and just keeps raining and it just keeps raining. You could do /weather clear, which would set the weather to clear. You could do weather thunder, which would change it to not just rain but a thunderstorm with lightning, or weather rain, which would make it minus the lightning and thunder. It could also be used weather query, which will then tell you what the current weather state is. That one is not necessarily super useful for the players, but being able to change the weather certainly is. And again, this could be used, like you saw with the chat, or with command blocks. So, I could just put it to thunder, with the command block, and then immediately set it to clear with the chat. In this case, it's going to do pretty much exactly the same thing. Next one we have here today is going to be the spawn point command. So this allows you to change the spawn point of specific players. So in this command block, I have slash spawn point at A tilde tilde 1 tilde. At A means all players. So if I press this button, now any player that's in the game with me, if they die, they're going to spawn right here. Alternatively, you could set your own spawn point. If you were to do like a command spawn point at S, because again, that's going to target whoever's running the command. And I could do, for example, like I have here, 3 tildes, which means I'm setting the spawn point for right where I'm standing. So this is pretty useful if you've found a location that you would like to kind of make your new base at. If you went off exploring really far away, you can temporarily set your spawn point without needing a bed. So if materials are an issue, you can use this command. It's also really useful if you're going to build games or anything like that where you want to control the spawn point of the players. Alright, the next command today is going to be the time set command. This one, I basically relate really to the weather command because it helps you control the ambiance and the vibe. But for example, right now, time is set at sunset. In the command here, I have time set midnight. So the sun will disappear, the stars will come out, and then the moon will be right there. See, right there. Alternatively, you can do this again, just write in your chat, time set noon, and now the sun is right there. If you type in time sets, you can see right here, yeah, day, midnight, night, noon, sunrise, sunset. So those are the ones that you can set it to. So if you want to be really specific, they have several options that you can do for that. The next command here is slash fill command. This one is really useful if you want to build structures using commands. So I've used this on several occasions to get the basic square structure of a building really quickly and then continue on. So how that works is, and you'll see in here, slash fill, and then I've got one set of coordinates and then another set of coordinates. So before I go through the rest of that command, I want to show you what that looks like. So the first set of coordinates needs to be the bottom corner. So this, for example, I want right here on top of this white concrete to be where I spawn the one corner. So 20, 0, negative 51, as you'll see in the upper left of my screen here, is the coordinate for this position. If your coordinates are not on, you can turn those on by going to the settings and making sure that show coordinates is on. The next set of coordinates that you're going to need is you're going to go to the opposite corner, but you're also going to make sure that you go up to where you want the top of that build to be. So for right here, 24, 5, negative 47. So this is going to build a cube in this area up to where my feet are right now. So those are the exact coordinates that I just went over with you, and it's going to do black concrete, but you'll notice it says hollow. So you can add some of these modifiers on to make it, for example, hollow in this situation. So let me run this. Boom. Got all this black concrete, but I could come up. Oh, other button. Boom, boom. I made myself a doorway. And it's hollow on the inside. So this is really useful for making structures, or like one time I did this for the hyperbolic time chamber for a DBZ level that I worked on. I needed a massive white concrete room. And then I did the same thing with light blocks to illuminate the inside of the room. So there's other cool things you can do with the fill command. So using those same coordinates, I could replace all the air with red concrete. So it's not going to target any of the black concrete, just the air. Slash fill, and we're going to do those same coordinates that I went and got with you earlier. 24, 5, negative 51, red concrete, replace air. And now after running that, all the air within that same zone that we set for the blancrete, or the black concrete, blancrete, that's a new word, has been replaced by red concrete. So there is a lot of really cool stuff you can do with these fill commands. I use the fill commands to build my metal detector. I don't know if you've seen that video. Essentially what I'm doing is I'm looking for specific ores, and I replace it with an item that you won't find in the overworlds, and then you replace that ore back. But if it triggers, I know that that ore exists beneath you, and it makes a beeping sound for your metal detector. The next command we're going to look at today is the effect command. So I like to call this the superpower or the curse command, more or less, and I'll show you why. This is really useful for traps, for example. If I were to do slash effect at key, and again that's going to be the closest player, blindness level 10 for 10 seconds. So if you're going through a dungeon and maybe you step on a pressure plate, bam, all of a sudden, you're blinded. It's like a trap from Dungeons and Dragons, right? Alternatively, you could give yourself like a superpower. So here I'm going to do /effects at S, so it's just going to target me resistance, which increases my defense. And then for seconds, I'm going to do 1 million, which I believe is the longest you can do. I don't think you get any extra time from going higher. And then for the amplifier, you can do it up to 255. If I'm not mistaken, you stop taking damage with resistance well before you get to this point, but these are just the metrics that you can work within. So this is the most I can get resistance for the longest I can get it, and I am pretty much immortal now. So if I were to come over here, let me take care of something real quick. Alright, I switched over to survival mode. Let me spawn in that TNT. And with the resistance that I have, I'm not going to take any damage at all. Not a single lick of damage. And I'm also going to get very, very stuck. I got this. So the effect command can give you strength, it can give you speed, it can give you defense. It can also make you blind or give you nausea, which makes the screen all wobbly. There's a lot of things that you can do with effects. Really useful if you're doing like builds for like superpowers or like building a game where you have traps or boons or anything like that. And then the last one today, our super special commands that I want to talk about just a little bit, is the execute command. So the execute command is one that scares a lot of people away from commands, but it's really useful. And one of the coolest things is that you can execute a command at the position of an entity and then run it like it's that entity running it itself. So for example, in this command I have /execute at, so I'm going to execute at this specific position. And at E is an entity, type equals chicken, name equals Henry. So if there's a chicken named Henry, it's going to execute at that chicken's position. And we're going to run summon lightning bolt, ~, which means it's going to summon a lightning bolt right down on top of the chicken. So I have this chicken here named Henry. When I press this button, Henry's gonna get struck by lightning. Bam. Henry is now extra crispy, or just gone. Alternatively, you can do other things with the execute command, but one of the things I want to do first is you should type in /game rule command block output false. So if you're ever using a repeating command block, when it runs over and over and over and over, it's going to continuously fill up your screen with the output from the command. By typing that in, you're just going to get rid of that, so your screen's not going to get all blocked up. So this one here, we have /execute at my position, run TP, and again, I'm looking for an entity, type equals chicken within a radius of 20, and it's going to teleport them to ~5. So now you see ~5. What this does, it actually adds 5 to my Y value. So if I were to summon a couple chickens, using the summon command that I showed you earlier, flip this on, it would summon both those chickens directly above me. And if I'm walking around, and let's say I summon a chicken, and then this time, let's do, instead of the tildes, I'm going to do carrots. So carrot, carrot, carrot. That is basically my position where I'm at, but it's based on where I'm facing, right? So what axis am I looking at? This is the Z axis. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to do carrot, 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 20. And this should summon the chicken 20 feet in front of me, but I'm also going to put it probably 6 blocks up in the air. Perfect. And now as I walk closer, it immediately teleported it to me because it was within a radius of 20 blocks as I specified. I'm looking for chickens within a radius of 20, and it teleported it right above me. So execute commands are the commands that allow you to start changing how the other commands work. It changes where they run at, it changes who is running them, it changes the timing or the requirements for them to run. It's a super powerful command. That's it, 10 commands every Minecraft Bedrock player should know. If you learned something new or found a command you're excited to try, give this video a like and maybe a share with a friend who's still building with their fists. Simpletons. I'll be diving deep into the execute commands next, how it works, why it's so powerful, and how you can start building smarter systems with it. Make sure you hit subscribe, tap the notification bell, and keep checking back. You don't want to miss what's coming.